German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has appealed to Iran's new President Masoud Pezeshkian to do everything to prevent further military escalation in the Middle East. Scholz wrote on X, formerly Twitter, that the spiral of violence in the Middle East must be broken now. Any alternative entails unforeseen risk for the countries in the region and their people. And it follows up saying, in my phone call with the Iranian president, I urge that everything be done to avoid further military escalation. Joining us now is Behnam Ben Taleblu in Washington, D.C. He works for the Foundation for Defense of Democracies and focuses on Iranian security and political issues. Welcome to DW News. Now, when do you think Iran will respond?
Pleasure to be with you, Tony. That really seems to be the question of the hour, or really we should say the question of the past 10 to 11 days. There's no doubt in my mind that both the Islamic Republic of Iran, which is the patron, as well as some elements in this proxy network like Lebanese Hezbollah, are benefiting from the fear and the uncertainty and the doubt caused by the potential delay or dragging out of this response. But I still do see this as a matter of when and not if, particularly given that on April 13th and April 14th, the regime launched a historic first direct, overt, and kinetic attack from Iranian territory against Israel. Just for the listeners and viewers out there, that's anywhere from 900 to 1,400 kilometers in distance, depending on where projectiles are fired from. So I do think the leaders mean what they say. I think right now they're enjoying much of the world trying to come to them and call for a de-escalation in the tensions. But make no mistake, they're looking to find a way to essentially say what much of the hardline press has been saying in Tehran for the past week and a half, which is to engage in bloodlust after the killing of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran.
And do we know what form this retaliation will take?
I think, everyone's guessing right now, but based on what's been said in the Iranian press so far, I think the April 13, April 14 missile drone barrage is likely going to be a price floor rather than a price ceiling for what we saw in the past, meaning Iran is likely going to be able to employ different projectiles in a layered fashion, some which are low and slow flying, some which are high and fast flying, as well as benefit from potentially proxy fire. Many hardline outlets have been talking about a 360-degree attack vector. Iranian government officials, particularly military officials, have not confirmed this. But I do think you're either going to see a change in the volume, so different numbers of projectiles or different amounts of projectiles fired at the same time in the same direction, or the lethality, a more capable system, potentially a harder to intercept system. And then, of course, the multi-directional threat vector.
And will this kind of planning be affected by the presence of the U.S. beefing up its military posture in the Middle East?
One of the interesting things about the changing U.S. force posture in the region, and this is an observable trend going back, I think, a decade and a half, if I'm not mistaken, which is that sometimes even at the peak of having two U.S. carriers, for example, in the Persian Gulf, the Islamic Republic of Iran was still undeterred. And this is the larger challenge both Israel and America faces in the region, which is that while it's essential to send a strong signal to showcase military capabilities to both intercept weapons as we'll be able to respond to potential strikes, the Islamic Republic is betting that the political will to respond is not there. And that's why you've seen it engage in a whole host of risky behaviors over this past decade and a half that has led us precisely to the moment that we're now in. I think if some forced deployments had worked, they would have worked well in the past when the regime had a potentially different and less sticky and less negative perception of U.S. resolve. But nonetheless, this is all stuff that the U.S. needs there for logistical purposes to make sure there's an integrated air and missile defense architecture. And if, God forbid, there is a mass casualty incident, to be able to potentially respond. But that's something the Islamic Republic is trying to wager against.
Okay. Behnam Ben Taleblu from the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. We appreciate your insights. Thank you.